All right, so today we're going to be talking about what does the verse mean when God said, "Let there be light" in Genesis. So let's just go to that, and hopefully this won't be too long of a video. Let's just read from the King James Version. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light, and God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So let's go to my screen. Let this draw. So we have, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and God said, "Let there be light." Light. Just so you know, I'm not a rocket surgeon. So, in case you guys are wondering, I'm not Einstein. But here's light. I think he would have loved this theory. I really do. So I think when God said, "Let there be light," he was saying, "Let there be time." Because he says, let me just find this here. Let's see if I can. This here. Here we go. Look at this. Read this again. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. God said, "Let there be light." And there was light right here. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. So let me just put this here. Get rid of this. Put this right here. So let's do that. God divided the light from the darkness. Okay? Separated the light from the darkness. And the light, he called the light day. And he called the darkness he called night. AM, PM. I can never remember if this is past after midday, after midnight, I would assume, and then past midday. Anyways, light, time. Let there be light. Let there be time. Because remember, we don't have the sun yet. We don't have the moon. We don't have the seasons, the stars, all this kind of stuff yet. But there's a sequence of events that are coming. That's the next thing coming down the pipeline. But right now we got a clock running. I honestly believe that we don't need the sun and the moon in order to tell time. Why is that? Well, I have a watch. How about that? You know, deep, isn't it? We have watches now. But back in the day, you needed some kind of a sequence to know that day is separate from night. And this is what God did at the very beginning for us humans, created time for us. We are on a clock. If you don't think you're on a clock, let me be the first to tell you, you are on a clock. There will come a day where you'll have to punch out. One day where we don't know how much time we get, but we are on a clock, all of us, all of us. What's interesting is, this is kind of an interesting note, a little bit of a footnote. The devil seems to be interested in time as well. In fact, in Revelation, I believe, or be in, maybe it's in Daniel, where the Antichrist actually wants to remove time. He wants to change the dates and everything. Why? Why? Because the devil knows his time is short. He knows his time is short. Before Christ died, I believe the devil thought he had a lot of time. Because had he known what Christ was up to, he would not have killed Jesus. He would not have crucified Jesus. I say devil meaning influencing all the leaders back then, all the stuff. Why? Because he could have a longer reign here on earth. As soon as Jesus died on the cross, and if you don't believe in Jesus, today, another time frame, if you will, today, if you do not harden your heart, you can actually believe that Jesus died on the cross, rose again on the third day, and you will have eternal salvation, eternal security, because God will send his Holy Spirit as a guarantee that we will get a new body, a new resurrected body, a new spiritual body, I should say. So, where am I going with this? Time. Devil wants to get rid of time so that he can have at least the illusion of more time, but he's also on a clock. He wants to change our calendar. Instead of BC, AD, maybe something else. Every time you look at the calendar, you can go back in the past and go thousands of years and go billions and billions and billions of years before Christ. Or you can go, it's 2022 after death. You can't get away from Christ. You can't get away from Jesus. It's amazing. But it's interesting that the devil wants to get rid of our calendars. So, where am I going with this? Well, there was another time where Jesus was just about to start his ministry, went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, kind of like a shadow of what happened with the Israelites when they went into the wilderness for 40 years, except Jesus wasn't wandering. He went there for 40 days and 40 nights, and at the end of the 40 days, which we know from data, from reading articles and everything, that you're pretty hungry after 40 days. You are, and your mind gets spiritually sharp as a tack, which is interesting. But after day 40, your brain can actually start to shrink, and there's people that die after 50 days of not eating. Now, there was one person on earth that I believe, from anything that I've read, actually fasted for more than 40 days, which was Moses. I believe it was 80 days. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was 80 days. So it seemed like there was one verse where he came down after 40 days. They had a golden calf and all this worship stuff, butt naked stuff. And then Moses grinded, I think he made 10 Commandment milkshakes that day. He ground everything up. And my siblings, if you're watching this, they remember when I was a kid, a teenager, I used to make them the best milkshakes on the planet. I would take grass blades and all kinds of stuff, shove it up their nose, and I would make them eat. I don't know what kind of crazy contraption I would put in these milkshakes. So I apologize for that. But maybe I got it from Moses because he ground up the 10 Commandments and made them eat it, almost like in a milkshake. The first ever milkshake was the 10 Commandments that was being ground to dust. Anyways, it's kind of a side note. And then he went back up in the mountain for another 40 days. Yeah, anyways. Silly. So where am I going with all this stuff? I get so sidetracked. Oh yeah, time. So the devil shows up. Jesus is pretty hungry, and he's kind of at his strongest and weakest point at the same time. It's kind of interesting dynamic going on here. And the devil knows this, so he says, command these stones to turn into bread. And Jesus said, man cannot live on bread alone, but by every word of God, every word that comes out of the mouth of God. And then In the moment of time, there's that word time again. The devil takes Jesus up to a high place, mountain somewhere, and shows him all the future kingdoms and all this kind of stuff, everything under his power. And he says, I will give you this if you bow down and worship me. Now, I think Jesus was having a bit of a hallucination there, a dream, a vision, if you will, of being tempted by. I don't believe he was whisked away by the devil. I don't think he has that kind of power, but hey, this is why you're on this channel, right? Because I could theorize about stuff, but I think because of the state of mind that Jesus was in after 40 days and 40 nights of not eating, that this happened in the blink of a second, because it does not tell us that from 6 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock the next day, the devil was constantly badgering him. It says in a moment of time, took him up to a high place, showed him all the kingdoms, and I think he was trying to make a deal with him to become the Antichrist. The Antichrist. I know, it's crazy, right? Because he said, I'm going to give you all my power. I'm going to give you all my authority here on earth. All you have to do is bow. Who else does he do that to? The Antichrist in the future. He's going to do that. He's going to give all his authority to the Antichrist, who's going to do great miracles that he could even deceive many sharp people. He's going to deceive a lot of people, a lot of people. So, and another thing that Antichrist wants to do, and I think I mentioned this, he wants to change time. So anyways, devil wanted to give his authority to Jesus. Jesus said no, and then he takes him up to the temple and says, throw yourself down. Because if you throw yourself down, your angels are going to just pick you up again. And Jesus said, get thee behind me, Satan, do not tempt the Lord thy God. And the devil flee or took off for a season, for time. He took off for a time. We don't know how long. We can assume when he shows up again is with Judas. But it's interesting that time is mentioned in the fullness of time. Jesus would say on many occasions, it is not my time. My hour has not come, because he's on a clock. And the devil wants to get rid of that clock. And I think if the devil knew, really, I think if he knew that if he killed Jesus, that his time would get shortened, I don't think he would have done it. Anyways, kind of deep for today, but I believe that today is the day of salvation for you. Today, not tomorrow, not yesterday, today. And when there is today still, this is the time to not harden your heart, but to actually believe that Jesus died on the cross and rose again on the third day. And when you do that, you will be sealed for all eternity. You'll have eternal salvation. You are done. There's nothing else that you need to do. You don't need to do anything else. Because once you get to know the Bible, and that's the next thing I would ask you to do is go get yourself a Bible. Start reading it every single day. I read my Bible for hours on end every single day just because I love it. Wasn't always like that. But I do love consuming it. Sometimes I'll listen to Bible audio books for 8-10 hours a day, every single day. So some of these books kind of blend into each other after a while, especially if you go through in a weekend the whole New Testament, and then you're like, I'm trying to get through the Old Testament as well before the end of the month. Takes only about 40 hours or so. But what's interesting is the more you plow through the Bible, the more you see Jesus throughout the whole Bible, right from the very beginning to the very end. You see Jesus all over the place. It is actually crazy. It's cray. You see him all over the place. Jesus even said to the Pharisees that were saying, who gives you this power to do all this stuff? And maybe I'll make this into another video. Every time Jesus went into a synagogue, it would usually be on a Sabbath, obviously. But it's interesting that Jesus healed everybody. And one of the first verses that he opened up was in, where was it? Is it in Jeremiah? Might have been Isaiah, where he talks about I can't even quote it right now. Basically, the idea was just after, I think it was just before the year of Jubilee. And he said, this day you see this completed in front of you, meaning that you could actually believe in Jesus Christ and you could actually enter into the rest. And because God had finished everything in 6 days, all his work, says he finished all his work, and I believe Jesus did as well. And they came up with the game plan before God said, let there be light. I believe the game plan was created before, and I believe that God hid some things from the prophets, kept some things a secret, even from Jesus, as Jesus said that he doesn't even know the time when he's supposed to come back. Only the Father knows. That's interesting in itself, because again, if God revealed his entire plan to us on earth, we would spill the beans, and then Christ would not be able to come to earth to die on the cross. He wouldn't be able to do it because we'd wreck it. We wreck the plan, and the devil would try and stop it somehow. I know it's a little bit crazy, a little bit all over the place today. We're having fun though, having fun. So today is the day of your salvation. So if you have accepted Jesus into your heart, you believe that he died and rose again, welcome to the kingdom. And let me know. You could leave a message in the comments and say, hey, hashtag saved. That lets me know that you got saved by watching this video. And I'm conjuring up a couple of more videos. I'm going to be talking about the whole transgender thing in the next day or so, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, my spin on it. So that might be interesting. Might be a little bit controversial. Who knows? You know, might get a little bit of hate mail, might get a little bit of love mail. Who knows? But that's coming down the pipes. And don't forget to visit my website if you want me to go deeper and all this kind of stuff. I also send emails out every once in a while, talks about some of my theory behind some of this stuff. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye for now.